Good morning, everyone. Better. Yeah, Brother Taiwo, thank you so much for the introduction. Uh, I want to begin by thanking the leadership of the church, Pastor Kola, and other pastors for the privilege to be the speaker on this particular info session. And I also want to give thanks to the leadership of the department as well, which is the career development department of the church. I don't take it lightly. Thank you so much. Today is an info session basically about becoming a realtor and a real estate broker. The steps, there are few things that we're going to be discussing in terms of the content. So we're going to be discussing, the first will be just a profile, my profile. The idea of the profile is to give you a little bit of insight into my journey, just in a way to let you know that if I can do it, anybody can do it, pretty much. So that's why I felt it's really important for me to kind of give you guys an idea of my journey. And then we'll be discussing who a realtor is and who a real estate broker is in Alberta. So in Alberta gives it the context because real estate is regulated provincially. So when you move from Alberta to Ontario or to BC, a few things might differ. So for this session, we are focusing on Alberta specifically. And then we'll be discussing how to become one, to join the industry, and then we'll talk about the exam certifications needed for you to become a realtor. And then, of course, the most important part is how to build your client base. Because the business is very competitive. It's a very competitive business, so it's very essential that you kind of have an idea how to build your client base. And then we're going to be discussing marketing for realtors, then touch base on the income potential, of a realtor, and then we'll take questions and answers. So my name is Richard. Like I said earlier, I'm the owner and broker of record for the Rare Brokerage, known as Rare Broker. This is a brokerage that I officially started January 2nd of this year. I'm just a little bit over 3 years in the industry. So I got my license as a realtor on October 1st of 2020. So I have not been in the industry for too long. It's just a little bit over 3 years. And to give you an idea, I moved here from Toronto. I used to live in Toronto. And I moved to Canada 2015. As a student, I did postgraduate program in project management, and then I worked for a bit after I graduated in Ontario. However, something happened in 2018. I have a friend here in Calgary who has been asking us to visit, and it was the daughter's 1-year birthday. So he bought me and my wife a ticket, actually, because we've been promising that we're going to come and things like that, but we never did. So now that we have free ticket, I don't think we have any reason not to come. So we came. But when we landed and I saw the city, there was just something about Calgary that, that resonated with me. Personally, I'm not a fan of big cities. I like smaller cities, but at the same time, I have a keen eye for opportunities. So when I landed and I saw the city, it was a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city, that was. It's still a beautiful city. And the topography of the place is beautiful. But then the other thing again is I saw so many houses up for sale in 2019. There were so many houses up for sale, like you see for sale sign everywhere. And then that spoke my interest to find out what is going on here, why, almost all the properties are up for sale. And then it was as a result of the oil crisis, 2015 and things like that, people moved out. The economy, had that heat and people were, moving to other parts of the country. But in that moment, I saw an opportunity. Having lived in Toronto, about a month before that trip, we lost a bid. We're trying to buy a 2-bedroom condo, and we lost the bid because it was a multiple offer situation, and it was a 2-bedroom condo for over $460,000, and we still didn't win. So when we started asking questions here, we realized that we could buy a single family home for about $400,000, $420,000. I'll be like, okay, this makes sense. But then on the other hand, what about jobs? My wife was working, I was working as well. And we had to make a decision because, again, I felt like there was opportunity here to grow, and we just have to figure it out. So I don't have everything all sorted out when we moved, but I had faith that something is going to work. Even if it means flipping properties, finding a job. But at the time, I never knew I was going to be a realtor, to be honest. I didn't know I was going to be a realtor at the time. It was just about, the opportunity to play in the market, being that there are so many properties that were up for sale and things like that. I felt like there was something there to explore. So we eventually moved in 2019, a year after. And then I got my license in 2020 because, again, I had a friend who's a realtor, and he kind of just encouraged me to get a license. And that was also because I wanted to flip properties. Like I said, I saw the opportunities. I wanted to be more of an investor, like flipping properties and things like that. But then he was like, okay, how about you get your license as well? Because the truth was he wasn't really available for me. I wanted someone who could help me do the analysis. If you are flipping properties, you should understand that the numbers, play a key role, because if you don't get the numbers right, then you're going to lose money instead of you to make money. So a lot of analysis goes into it, and that analysis is time on the side of the realtor, because you as an individual may not have the resources that you need to be able to do those analyses yourself, or even the skill set. Now, he wasn't readily forthcoming because probably he felt it was time consuming and things like that, and I was new in the business. So at the time, he wasn't really forthcoming, and I was somewhat stranded, But with that frustration, I needed to do something. I needed to, be able to do things myself. If I was the one doing the analysis, I wouldn't have to wait on somebody else, to do business. So it was part of the things that informed me to get my license. So getting my license was primarily to help myself, not necessarily to help people buy or sell, but to be able to, do those analyses. And most importantly, when I buy, I make commission. So I can use my commission towards the improvement that I want to make to the property. And then when I want to sell, I represent myself. So I make money when I buy, or I save money when I buy, and I save money when I sell. So even if I don't buy a property for anybody, at least I made money. I know I made money by not paying somebody else. So that was the idea behind me getting my license. And after the credential requirement part of it, I think it's one of those things that might take time in the process, actually. But we'll get to that when we talk about the step-by-step process to becoming a realtor. It was one of the things that took my time, or delayed me a little bit. But when I was able to sort out that requirement, and I started studying, it took me about 3 months to get my license. And that's because I was hungry for it, right? So again, if I can do it in 3 months to get my residential license, or license to trade in residential real estate, I believe anyone else can do it. It's just a question of how bad do you want it. So that's how I got my license in 2020. And then I just put out the information out there on Facebook to say, hey, I'm licensed now. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'm more than happy to help. And then I did my first sale 3 months after. That was around January of 2022. 2021 was when I made my first sale. And it was a referral from a mortgage person in my church at the time. Now, 2 years into the business, I saw the need to open a brokerage, because I wanted the independence, to run a brokerage and be able to market myself and my team some type of way that I may not, at the time, be allowed to do so under a different brokerage. And the intention was just to have a small team, not to really have a large team, because I also want to actively trade in real estate. So I wanted a small team, and then that was how the idea of the brokerage started. But after we started, a few people reached out to say, hey, we want to be part of what's going on here. We feel like we belong here and things like that. And then within the space of 1 year, we've now moved from just me to about 15 agents. So including myself, we have 15 in number as of today. And then we have a few other prospects that may be joining the brokerage even before the end of the year. So that's me and my skill set. I have BS in computer science, did postgraduate in project management. And I've also always done business in my life, though, even before I moved to Canada. The reason why I'm also referencing this is that every skill that you have can help you in this journey, regardless, whatever your background is. So if somebody that is in IT, is doing sales, any other area field that you're coming from, you can actually excel in this business. You just have to, put your feet down, get the information that you need, put in the work, and you will surprise yourself. To be honest, you will surprise yourself. So that's just a summary of my journey and how I got here. Now, who is a realtor / real estate broker? In Alberta, there are two different things. A realtor is not a broker in the context of real estate. Real estate is also different from mortgage. Though as an industry, they both belong to real estate industry, but under the industry, we have mortgage, we have real estate. They are two different things. And then real estate has to do with the transaction side of things, and the mortgage has to do with the financing side of things. And then under real estate, you have different categories. You have the residential, you have the commercial, you have the rural, and then you have property management. So these are the four areas that make up the real estate side of things under the industry. So a realtor is a real estate agent that is licensed with CREA. CREA is the Canada Real Estate Association. So you can be a real estate agent without being a realtor, but you cannot be a realtor without being a real estate agent. So it's that license there that differentiates just a real estate agent from a realtor. And then a real estate broker in Alberta is the head of the brokerage. There can only be one broker in a brokerage, and that broker is also referred to as broker of record. So that's why in my profile, you see broker of record, because I am the head of the brokerage. There can only be one broker in a brokerage. Though you can have other people in the brokerage who have what they call the associate broker license. They are pretty much, they have the qualifications of a broker, but until they open up their own brokerage or employed in a different brokerage where they are the head, they are still associate brokers. They cannot refer to themselves as a broker. So that's the major difference. So being an info session, I think my focus is going to be on the real estate agent / realtor side of things, because the broker thing is still a fast stretch, but I'll just throw more lights on it as we go. So that defines it. And then let's talk about the roles of a realtor. What does realtors do? I've had cases where people say, what do realtors really do? Like, why do I want to buy a house? Why do I really need a realtor? And when it comes to pre-construction, like brand new homes from builders, especially, people say, they said, if I use a realtor, the price is different. Why do I even have to use a realtor anyway? I can go to the builder and buy directly from the builder. Let me tell you what a realtor does. It's not always about the price of the home. It's about your goal, having somebody who is in the business to understand where you are, where you want to go, and advise you in terms of the property type to buy, where to buy, the strategies to use in buying that property. These are some of the values that a realtor brings to the table, not necessarily a price. Yes, of course, a realtor can influence the price in a positive direction, because if the realtor is working with the builder and knows about all the incentives that is available to consumers, because remember, decisions are not made at the sales center. All the perks that you're giving at the sales or at the show home is already authorized by the head office. They don't have, the area sales manager do not have the right to do anything that has not been authorized by the head office. And sometimes when you even write an offer, they have to send it to the head office to accept the offer. The area sales manager do not accept the offer. The offer has to go to the head office, where they now accept that offer. So again, if the realtor you're working with is experienced in that field and has done a lot of business with the builder, they can still get you that price that you're looking for, that is available, but most importantly, be able to guide you to make sure that you're making an informed decision when you're buying a property. Again, because of time, my goal here is the steps on becoming a realtor is pretty easy. But I think I want to focus more in terms of understanding the role so that you can know how to bring value, because value is what will determine how long you're going to survive in this business. The business now is very, very competitive. When I joined, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there were about 5,000 realtors registered with the Calgary Real Estate Board. As of today, there are about 7,500 plus realtors registered with the Calgary Real Estate Board. Now, the reason I'm giving this number is not to scare you, is to let you know how competitive it is. And the truth is, a lot of people will fall off that train. It's a question of time. As a matter of fact, it's one of the businesses that have a high turnover rate. People come in, people leave. And if 7,500 people are registered with CREP, I want to believe that that is net. It means that they have accounted for those who left, meaning that there's a lot more people coming in than those leaving, but people will continue to leave. The point here is you have, if you must come in, which there is room for everybody because we're all different. Our skill sets are different. And people want to work with different people based on their personality trait as well. So there is always room for everyone. However, there are certain things that you just have to do to survive. If not, you are going to fall off. And just to set the mindset, it is the idea of becoming a realtor is not to get money overnight, to make money overnight, quick money. That's not the idea, because if you have that kind of mindset, I can guarantee you're not going to last. And then at some point, you get frustrated because you're running after people trying to get leads, and then it seems like nobody wants to work with you and things like that. And that's because you're looking at the money. You want to make money real quick. But you don't pay attention to the value that you're bringing to these people. So if you're coming in, this is my opinion, the mindset you should have is value mindset. How do I bring value to people? For those looking to buy property, we know that buying real estate is one of the most expensive investment a lot of people are going to make in a lifetime, as it is. So your own is, how do I help these people? Because if you understand how to help people through this journey, money will always come. So money is the byproduct of the value that you bring to the table. So please have that mindset. Have that mindset, because you're gonna be tested. Mentally, you'll be tested. Financially, you'll be tested as you begin your journey, because it's a commission-based job. There is no salary, in the business. It's a business. It's what you earn, is what you get. So please keep that in mind. And then talking about the steps on how to become a real estate agent or a realtor, there is a resource guide on the Real Estate Council of Alberta, RECA, website. And the website is reca.ca, RECA.ca. So RECA is the governing body that governs the real estate industry. So if you go to that website, go to the top right corner, you see in the menu section that says become a licensee. So a lot of the things that I'm going to be shedding more light on can be found there. So I'm just going to go over it real quick, because again, we need to discuss some other important things, so I have to move along. So the first step in becoming a realtor is meeting the eligibility. So there are a few eligibility requirements, that you must possess before you can become a realtor. So one is you must be at least 18 years old or more, and then you must be legally allowed to study or work in Canada. You should have a government-issued ID. You must have a government-issued ID. And then lastly, you should have at least a minimum of a Canadian high school education or equivalent. So minimum is Canadian high school or its equivalent or more for you to be eligible to be a realtor in Alberta. And then the second step is you have to create an account with RECA. So I already gave the website reca.ca. You go there, you sign up at your account, put in your information, and then after which you begin that eligibility, because they're going to ask you to upload a few documents like your work permit or your status. They're going to ask you to upload your IDs and things like that. So you create the account and then you sign into that account. So when you sign in, that brings us to the third step. So when you sign in, that's where you complete those things. So there are three things there. One is the eligibility. One is, I think, sustainability. And then there's a third one. But again, the sustainability. And then the other one is for people who are moving from a different province who wants to be realtors here. So they get a chance to transfer pretty much like you're transferring your license. So you don't have to start afresh, but they might require you to take a few courses, just to be sure that you understand how real estate operates here. Because like I said earlier, it's regulated provincially. So if you're coming from coming from Ontario, there are a few things that might be different. So they may just get you to take a few courses, but definitely is way much lighter than those who want to, start afresh. So, but for the purpose of this info session, we're talking about for those who are fresh that are coming into the space. So when you fill out those forms and submit your information, RECA will review it. Again, that's the point where also you have to submit your academic qualification. So this is very important. There are a few things that they're going to need. They're going to need proof of proficiency in English. So, and then in addition to your certificate, not postgraduate, anything above, Canadian high school certificate. So on the English side, you don't need to write IELTS. So I want to assume, I want to give an example with Nigeria specifically, because that's the country that I am from and I have experience because of my journey. So for the proof of English, your WAEC on NECO is sufficient. You don't have to write IELTS. All you need to do is to reach out to IQAS. I think the office is in Edmonton, but you reach out online, submit your WAEC certificate and a PIN, WAEC PIN, scratch card PIN, and then they will be able to, assess your WAEC, and that will satisfy the proficiency in English. So you don't have to start studying for IELTS and all of that stuff. That is, I find it to be the easiest way to get that sorted. And then for the high school or more, if you studied abroad, the country you're from, pastor would say, the best thing to do is to do your assessment you can do with IQAS as well, or you can do with WES. However, if you've done an assessment with WES before for immigration purposes, all you need to do is to reach out to them and ask them to, do a version for licensing or educational purpose, because RECA do not accept the one for immigration. So you just have to reach out to WES. They already have your transcript, so it's not going to take so much time for them to, do the other one for licensing purposes and send it off to RECA. The credential, when it comes to proficiency in English and academic requirement, it has to go from the assessment body, or if you studied here, you have to order your transcript from the school directly to RECA. RECA, they don't accept certificates or those kind of assessments directly from you. They don't want it. So if you studied here, you request for a transcript from your school straight to RECA, or if you did your assessment with WES, then you request that WES sends your transcript directly to RECA. That's the only way it's accepted. Anything other than that, they're going to reject it, and then you have to do it again, and then you're wasting time. So that is very, very important, because that's where a lot of people get stuck, trying to write IELTS and all of that stuff. This is the easiest way for you to, boycott that process and just be on your way. So step 4, which again, I think I'm already discussing, that has to do with beginning your eligibility. So your ID will have to be uploaded on the platform that you've already created an account, which is the RECA website. And then, of course, you request your transcript from WES or your school to RECA. And then, of course, if you studied abroad, do your WAEC or NECO, and also have them send it directly to RECA. I find IQAS more accessible when it comes to the proficiency in English. They are a lot faster and a lot easier. That's my opinion. And then we come to step 5. It means to enroll for the pre-licensing education. Before, RECA used to organize or used to administer that education is self-paced online. You study at your pace. But now, recently, they made some changes, and now they have accredited bodies, that offer the licensing education. So there are quite a number of them. Um, my personal recommendation is AREA, which is the Alberta Real Estate Association, but they have, I think, three other people that do offer the pre-licensing course. Those other ones, Relo is there, Alberta Real Estate School is there, and I think there's one other provider, but it's all on Reka website. But personally, I prefer Area for taking those courses. Now, when you're taking the courses, you start with the first course. It's called the Fundamentals of Real Estate. That is the first course that you're going to take. And then when you finish the course, you write the exam before you now enroll for the area of real estate that you want to practice. Remember, I said there are 4 areas of real estate: residential, commercial, rural, and property management. Now, residential is one of the best places to start. The reason is because, one, there is a high transaction volume in residential. So the tendency of you getting a business or getting business as quickly as possible is there compared to commercial. Commercial requires some level of experience, and it takes time. You can actually do a commercial deal or you can actually work on a commercial deal for 3 months to 6 months to even a year, and the deal can collapse. So imagine working that long, expecting your check, and then last minute the deal collapses. It can take a toll on you. So even if you have interest to do commercial, it's ideal, or I suggest that you get your residential as well because of that volume, so you can get a grip of the business, and then you can eventually branch out depending on your network or your sphere of influence. Because I see that some of the reasons why some people may want to do commercial is if you have your sphere of influence, SOI, people who own businesses, are running businesses and things like that, it can be very beneficial to you because you get to work for them, right? So you pretty much already have leads already set, in some type of way because of people that are around you. So that way you can get business started. But if you don't know anybody and things like that, and because you are also new, I strongly recommend that you start with residential. And then some people also have this stamina for property management. It can be a lot of work because tenants can call you 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1 a.m., especially during the winter months. Oh, the heater is not working. And you have an obligation to, respond as quickly as possible. So it can be tedious. But recently I found somebody who really loves property management. He really loves it. He doesn't really like selling properties. He just likes doing property management. So again, it can be something that you like, that you have that strength and stamina for. Definitely, there is an opportunity in property management, and the benefit of property management is the residual income. Because when you're managing a property, they pay monthly. So whether or not, unlike when you're selling, if you don't sell, no money. If you don't buy for a client, no money. But if you're doing property management, as long as the tenant is paying the rent, you're taking your split and then remitting the balance to the owner of the property. All of these things through your brokerage. So these are some of the areas. Rural has to do more of like farmlands. Again, depending on your sphere of influence, if you have a lot of people or you grew up in the farm or you know a lot of farmers or people who have interest in farming, then definitely there's a niche for you in that area as well because you get a chance to work for them. Not too many people farm here, so it means that there is not too many transactions to pursue. However, again, if you look at yourself, look at your situation, look at your sphere of influence, and you feel like there's an opportunity there, then definitely you should go for it. Then, the reason why you might want to get the 4 licenses is if you have interest in becoming a broker in the context of my explanation, being the head of a brokerage. Part of the requirement is that you must be licensed in all 4 areas of real estate. So for me as a broker, I'm licensed in all 4 areas. And then after that license, you take a course called the Associate Broker course. Once you take that course, at least you have to be 2 years first from the time you got licensed for you to be able to take the associate broker course. You must be in the industry for at least 2 years. So when you get your realtor license, you're doing business, get all other licenses. 2 years after that license, you can take the associate broker course. You may not necessarily have plans to start your own brokerage right away, but you just want to have the qualification so that maybe if opportunity comes up. I've seen people who are retiring from the business who had brokerages and want to sell. So that might be an opportunity for you to buy that business, and just take it up from there. That way you're prepared and waiting for the opportunity. And on the other hand, if you feel like there is a need for you to start your own brokerage because you have your own plans and things like that, then you have what you need to get started. You don't have to wait for opportunity to come out and then you want to go and study and write the exam before you come back. Probably somebody who was more ready than you has taken that opportunity. So that's one of the reasons why you should consider having all licenses. Though there are changes coming in from RECA, RECA is consulting with all stakeholders to make some changes to further split these 4 areas of real estate into 7. So they want to separate condo property management, commercial property management, and things like that. So by the time they split all of those places or all of those areas of real estate, we're going to have 7 areas of real estate by the time they do it. But as of today, we have 4. So again, the whole idea is if you know where you're going, you get a chance to plan ahead of time. I guess that's the whole idea of the info session, so that you can know what it takes to get, to move from point A to point B. And then after that you've done your fundamentals of real estate, written the exam, you've done your residential, for instance, assuming you want to go with residential, and you've done the exam, the next stage for you is to do the certified criminal check, criminal record check. So it's different from the one you just go to the police station here to do. It's done by the RCMP, and you do it through the businesses that do fingerprinting services. So you go there, they'll take your fingerprint, take a picture of you, they send it directly to RCMP, who does the check and then sends your report directly to RECA as well. Not through you, directly to RECA. So I usually recommend that you do this step when you are preparing to take that second exam. So let's say you're doing residential real estate after you've done your fundamentals. So once you're reading the course and you're coming towards the end, you can just go and do the criminal check ahead of time, because I think it's valid for 3 to 6 months. So definitely before it expires, you've finished your exam and you're ready to join a brokerage. So that you don't have to wait. If not, if you're comfortable waiting, then finish your exam before you go submit your information for the check, and then wait for it to be done. Probably could take 2 weeks or so, but I find it more effective for you to submit or request for that criminal check, towards the end of your program, or because you're reading it online and you're seeing your progress. So you'll be able to ascertain that, okay, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks based on your pace that I will finish, and then you can now go ahead and, start the check. And then step 7 is to obtain employment with a brokerage. Now, this is very easy, I'll say, because it's not the typical interview that you do when you're trying to get a regular job. In real estate, is a mutually beneficial relationship. So when you call brokerages after you've finished all those steps we talked about, go online, do some research in terms of some brokerages that are around, call them on the phone and say, hey, I just got finished my pre-licensing exam. I'm looking to join a brokerage and I want to have a chance to meet with, the broker of the brokerage, to discuss, why I should join, because I'm looking for a brokerage to join. So that interview is a two-way interview. As a matter of fact, you have upper hand for the most part. So the whole idea is to understand what their structure looks like, because every brokerage is different. They offer different things. So when you have that meeting with them, you get a chance to ask about the brokerage, their commission split, how they support agents, and things like that. So after they've asked you, they've asked you some questions about, why do you want to go into real estate and things like that. you also get a chance to ask them these questions to see if their culture aligns with or resonates with you, because not all brokerages or the structures of those brokerages you may like. So you may not like the split, they may not have any support for agents because the split is low. Because the thing is, usually they say when something is cheap, you can't get quality. If you want quality, it might be more expensive. So sometimes some brokerages might be cheaper, but they don't give you any support. Now, if your skill set is strong enough that you can run independently, then it may not matter most to you. But if you know that you need somebody to hold your hands, then you might not pay much attention to the split. You pay more attention to the support you're going to get. And then as soon as you're good enough in the business, you can branch out to a brokerage that is cheaper, right? But now you are pretty much good to go. But that also explains the concept of teams. If you're on Facebook, you see a lot of teams. This one team, that's one team, this one team. The whole idea of a team is because oftentimes brokerages, there are a lot of things going on. And of course, with a smaller split coming from you, there is not enough money to really run the brokerage, and they don't have the time to really support you on one-on-one basis. So what now happens is that some people who have been in the business for a while or that have the skills or the knowledge will not create a team under the brokerage. So when you join the team, they provide you with support at a cost. Oftentimes. So after the brokerage takes their split, the team lead also takes something, to compensate for their time, to train you. It takes time, and energy to really train an agent, especially when you have a number of people on your team and you're supporting all of those people. It can literally reduce your own production as an agent because you're busy supporting other agents. So to compensate for that, they can, charge something from your commission, but it's all negotiable. There is nothing that is cast on stone. It's all negotiable. But that is the reason why you see teams everywhere, because oftentimes the brokerage itself do not have that time to support you on one-on-one basis. So that is that. So when you interview and then you decide where you want to go, then you just reach out back to them and say, hey, I think I want to go with you guys. Again, it's good that you interview at least 2, 3, 4 brokerages before you decide where you want to go. And then you call up the brokerage and say, I want to join you guys. Then they will guide you through the onboarding process of that particular brokerage. But the most important thing there is that they're going to ask you to come in and initiate a license registration for you through their portal. So the broker of the brokerage is the one who initiates the licensing process, and then you fill out your own part, payment happens, and then you're licensed with RECA. So that is the number one license. So licensing with RECA is number one. So that's when you've done your pre-licensing courses and done your exams and you've done your criminal check, and then you join a brokerage, then you have the authority to trade in real estate. So you can advertise as a realtor, as a real estate agent. You can advertise as a real estate agent, and things like that. However, you still may not have access to the tools that you need for your day-to-day operation. So that is the reason why you have to register with the board, which is CREB. When you register with CREB, they also help you register with CREA. That is when you now move from becoming from a real estate agent to a realtor, because you now have that stamp, by virtue of your registration with CREA. So that's when you become a realtor, and you can use the realtor trademark, which is capital realtor with a registered trademark on the side. Only those who are licensed with the board are allowed to use that trademark, to describe themselves. So this is pretty much the steps in terms of how you get licensed. Again, like I said, is on the RECA website. When you go there, at the top right corner, you're going to see Become a Licensee. Click on it. You see step-by-step guide. Click on the step-by-step guide, and then you see all of this information there. And if you have any question, my number is going to be displayed at the end of the slide. You can always call me and say, hey, I didn't understand this, or I don't understand this, or whatever. Just call me or text me or WhatsApp, and then I'll respond as quickly as possible. So that's the website there. Now, how to build a client base. This is the most difficult side of the business. And like I said, in the course of this session, I'm going to be sharing some information, some of which will be about myself. The whole idea again here is to help you connect, to my journey, and then be able to, grow from there. Tailor things based on your personality, among other things, to really start off your own business. Oftentimes, when people get licensed, is a little bit tough doing their first business. But again, everybody is different. I've seen people who got their license today, they did a business the next day. People got their license in the first 1 month, they've done 2, 3, 4 deals. And then I've also seen people who got their license, it took them 3 months or 6 months. However, if you continue to do or take these practical steps, because they are very, very practical, but oftentimes it's either we are too lazy to do it, or we're not consistent in doing it, or we just make up excuses, but we have the time to cry and say, hey, oh, nobody wants to work with me, I have not made money, and things like that. Forgetting that there are certain things that you should do. And the truth is, when you start doing it, you will know that you're getting closer to your transaction. You will know. The feeling is different. I've seen, by virtue of my position in the brokerage, I've get the opportunity to support agents, and I've seen people who moved because they felt lost in the brokerages where they were. They moved, and then we say, hey, do these things. You know them already, but just do them and hold them accountable. And when they start doing it, they start seeing some changes. They feel these changes, and sooner or later, they start doing business. So one of which is networking and relationship. This business is a relationship business. It's all about relationship, right? So see it this way. Because it's the biggest transaction of their life, first, they don't want to make mistakes. They want to trust you to a certain level, because there's what they call fiduciary duties. When you sign on a client, you become the realtor. There is a fiduciary duty that you owe to the client, one of which is trust, confidentiality, disclosure, among other things, loyalty to the client. It gives you access to certain areas of their lives or certain information about them that you wouldn't know normally. So why would somebody just allow you to come into their space in this context to learn so much information about them if they don't trust you? So it's about relationship. So you network to know people, and then you build on it. So if you're coming into this space, I've seen people who, by virtue of their temperament, they don't want to be seen, they like to be on their own, they don't want troubles and things like that. You have to come out of that shell. When you go home, you can be that. But when you go out, you should be able to start a conversation. Not too shy to say hi to somebody. How are you doing? It's very easy, very easy. Just see somebody and say, hey, how's it going? How's everything? How is work? Work is fine. Okay. And then you get your numbers and things like that. Periodically, you call and say, hey, you just dropped in my spirit. I just want to know how things are going. How's the family, or how's business and things like that. They say, fine. And then they ask you, well, how is business? When they ask you, how is business, an opportunity for you to give them information, valuable information, but that information can bring you business. When you say, hey, yes, business is fine. It's just been a little bit busy. The market is crazy right now with all the people coming from out of province. Prices are going up and things like that. It's still a good time to buy. You're just calling to check up on them, but you've given them an idea, and you just never know what they are thinking. They just might be thinking whether or not it's a good time to buy or not. And then that will help them to either you've answered the question without them asking, you already answered the question, or that might prompt them to ask you more questions that will also give you an idea that they are looking to buy. Then they become a warm lead. So you know that this one wants to buy. So you follow up periodically, but most importantly, bring in information whenever you check in on them. So it's a relationship business. You cannot do this business and don't have a relationship with people. If you're not willing to change and build relationship and network, then you might want to reconsider whether or not this is a field that you want to go into. The second thing is to leverage your existing contacts. So when you get your license, there is a book that I would recommend that everyone who wants to be a realtor, or who is in the process of being a realtor, or who is a realtor to read. And the book is called SOI, Sphere of Influence. So SOI is an acronym for Sphere of Influence. So the name of the author, I don't have it in my head, is something Iceberg or something, but I forgot to put it in the slide. But I'm happy to connect with you and send you that book so that you can read that book. That book is a life-changing book because I read that book towards the end of last year, and my business grew. My first year, second year combined is not half of my third year production as a result of that book. Of course, grace from God and the wisdom from God. But it gives you actionable items that you can do, tweak it a little bit. It's just the principle. The principle remains the same. How you implement it might change. But those principles are principles that when you apply them to this business, it works. So one of which is when you get your license, your first point of contact is the contacts on your phone. As a matter of fact, even your first business is in that phone because you already know people in the city. You know people in maybe some in Edmonton or even some other parts of Canada. You have to reach out. Now, there are so many avenues for you to reach out. There's text message, there is WhatsApp, and on WhatsApp, you can do broadcast. You can broadcast on WhatsApp. So which is the easiest because text message, you may have to be adding them one by one, per text that you're sending. But on WhatsApp, you can actually create a broadcast list, and then you'll be able to send out those information to say, hey, I'm licensed. Of course, with a good flyer, a very simple, nice flyer, because people like pictures. People don't have the patience to read. The flyer gives them an idea of what they want to read, and then they get a chance to read it. But then it's just a simple message saying, hey, that I'm licensed now, in Alberta, and I'm part of an amazing team, and that we're happy to, help you whether you're buying or selling or investing, because they know that you're new and they may not trust your skill set, but that's the reason why you add the fact that you have, a solid team behind you who you're working with, to help them achieve their goal. The goal is people need to know what you do. No matter how good you are, if nobody knows you, no business. If nobody knows what you do, no business. So if you like, read all the articles on the internet, learn all the strategies, know everything that you want to know as far as learning the trade is concerned. But if nobody knows you and gets a chance to use that wisdom, to tap from that knowledge, it's of no benefit to you as a business. So there is need for you to, leverage your contacts. And in addition to that message, you're saying, if you know somebody else who wants to buy, because the people on your contact, most of them may already own houses, right? So you're saying, this is what I do if you're looking to buy, or if you know someone else who is looking to buy or sell or invest, I am more than happy, or myself and my team are more than happy to work with them, right? So in other words, you're not only asking for their business in a case where they're looking to buy, but you're also asking them to send you referrals, because referrals is the best form of warm leads. When somebody refers a client to you, even when you're not the best, it's hard for the client to leave you because of who sent them to you. So oftentimes they will call the person that sent them to you and say, oh, this person is not responsive, or this person is not this, whatever it is your shortcomings are. Most likely they will report you to who referred them. And who referred them will call you to say, this is what they are saying about you. And that gives you an opportunity to correct it. So you know where your shortcomings are, and then you'll be able to quickly bridge the gap, to make sure that that experience of the client, is top notch, because that's what is going to make them send even their own family, friends, and people to you to help them buy, sell, or invest. So it's very essential. So again, like I said, there are different ways you can reach out to these people, but WhatsApp is one of the most effective ways. Leverage your WhatsApp. Leverage it. Use it. And when there is, the good thing again is that when you have the broadcast list, when there is an important information, right now we know that people are very keen on interest rate, whether the market is going to crash, and things like that. When you find useful resources, that speaks to these topics, use the broadcast list. You send it. There are tools like ChatGPT that can help you make sense of what you just read. Put it in your own terms, make it brief, send it out with a link for them to go see that it's from, the reference is from a reliable source. It helps them. One is there's what I call mind share. It helps them to remember that you're in this business. Two, it shows that you're in touch in terms of what is going on in the business. And then that way, it also ties to the trust we're talking about because they are beginning to believe that, okay, with this information that you have, then I think he or she knows what they are doing. And then the next one is to develop an online presence. Online presence. Online presence. I built my business on Facebook. So when you see me on Facebook that I'm very active, it's not my fault. That's where my business comes from. And like I said, when I came here, I only knew one person. So without sense of humility, the person hasn't sent me business. But all my businesses, apart from the first that came from the church, most of my business comes from Facebook. The point here is it tells you the power of online presence. It tells you the power of online presence. So be it having a website, be it having a Google business page. The beauty of Google business page is that when people search, when it's well optimized, they will see you. But most importantly, you use that to collect your reviews from people that you have worked with. We all know in this part of the world that when we're buying stuff or even if it's a service, we like reading reviews to see what people have to say or what people's experiences are or where. So you collecting those reviews through your Google page, when people search you, because when one will search you, the first thing they go is Google, type your name, boom, it comes up. And then they get a chance to read what people think about your service, how people see you. It helps build the trust. You see how it connects to the trust. So having that website, having that Google business page is very good. And let's talk about social media, but we'll talk about it in details down the road because social media is very, very powerful. And I don't think there's any business you do that you shouldn't leverage social media. Social media is way more effective than website or even Google page. So again, if you have to be in this business and you don't like social media, you may want to reconsider your position, define why you don't like it, and then set boundaries in terms of now that I'm coming online, social media, I have to define what the boundaries are, what I should be posting, what I shouldn't post. But most importantly, you have to be active because that is one of the places where you gain the mind share. Now, with 7,500 realtors plus, every individual, there's tendency for an individual to know at least 2, 3 to 7 realtors. So the question is, why you? 7 people. Why you? Right? And I've seen cases where people they want to buy a house and they have good intentions to work with you. But at that point when they are making a decision, it didn't come to mind. So when they see you later, they'll be like, hey, I just forget. Oh, hi, next one. The next one might be 10 years' time. That's it. That's the reality. But if you do the mind share by being present, they see you, they remember you. So when they think about real estate, try to put yourself in a place where the top 3 names that will come up, your name is there. The top 2 names that will come to their mind, your name should be there. And as a matter of fact, if there's only one name that will come to their mind, try to be the one name that will come to their mind. Because if not, once they send the referral somewhere, it's gone. That's business missed. So online presence, in my opinion, and my team, I tell them, is a must. Except you have a clientele. Let's say you have very rich people that you are servicing, and the commission from those clients is enough for you for the year. Those ones are not even on social media. That's fine. But if you're looking to do volume, if you're really looking to do this business, you have to leverage online presence or have an online presence. And that means also leveraging social media. And then the other one is offering exceptional service. I will speak for myself on this one. So when I started out, like I said, given my story, I started flipping properties. When I started flipping, because there was not enough money, but I'm handy. So I did flooring myself, I did painting myself, I changed the lightings myself, but it was on condos specifically. I didn't go into big houses. It was just a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, not too old condo like 2016, 2015 built, that just needed some touch-ups because, again, let me explain this because it ties back to what I said, your previous experience plays a role. When I was in Toronto, all the condos are usually white. When you go inside, it's white and it's classy, it's more attractive. Even if the space is small, you still want to rent it. But when I came here, I see brown, I see dark gray, so many colors, you know. So I knew in my mind that if I do what I see in Toronto, it will sell. So the first set of properties that I flipped, I did the work manually myself, touched them up. The first one I sold in a particular complex was the first highest resale in that complex at the time. And so many people said, oh no, don't buy condo. No, condo has a bad record. But when I did the analysis for myself, I knew it made more sense for me to buy a condo. And I just simple thing. You buy the condo, you painted it. Most of them didn't need flooring at the time. Just paint, change the lighting from Home Depot, put it back on the market, and you make $50,000. Easy. Before taxes. Right? So when I started a business and I was doing that on the side, I made up my mind that when I'm working with a client, I put the client's interest before my interest, which is, in this case, making money. I know I want the money, but the client's well-being is more important than the money that I want to make. So my mindset is value-driven. How do I bring value to this person? How do I bring value to this process? How do I want to be remembered? How do I take out the pressure of putting my interest indirectly first by just pushing them to sign a deal, and things like that. And that has enabled me or allowed me to really bring value to people when I work with people. I'll give you an example. When somebody calls me and says, hey, I want to sell a house, one of the first questions I ask is, why do you want to sell? I want to understand why you want to sell. Because if it's something that you can achieve without really needing to sell, I will guide you to do what you need to do without having to sell the house. So in your own way, you have to figure out a way to, or you have to be conscious in terms of the value that you bring to people. You should be value driven, bring value, and it shows in your services. So that's how you offer exceptional services to people. And people don't forget. People will always remember how you made them feel, especially when they are making the biggest transaction of their lives. I've seen people leave a realtor because they're just not comfortable how the realtor talks to them or how the realtor looks at them, and things like that. Some realtors, because of their personality, maybe they have a very strong personality, they make the clients feel less of themselves, not worthy, not deserving, and things like that. And that pain doesn't go away. Even 5 years after, they still feel the pain. When they see you or hear your name, they're like, that guy, I will leave him. And things like that. So you have to be conscious. You have to bring value to people. And that should show in your service. The other one is consistent marketing effort. You have to market. There are different ways to market as a realtor, or different marketing strategies. You can do door knocking. So you go to different neighborhoods, knock at the door, introduce yourself. It's advisable that you have your script, learn the script, learn what to say, in different situations. But the whole idea is to knock on people's doors, tell them what you do, and tell them that if you're ever looking to sell or buy, you're happy to work with them. That's just one way. You can also do, online lead generation, leveraging Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, TikTok. You can leverage all those platforms. The whole idea there is, again, to generate leads and then do what they call cold calling. So you call them and, say, hey, based on the place you signed up on, wanting to know where you are in your journey, if you're looking to buy or sell. Mind you, if you're doing Google ads or you're doing Facebook ads, for instance, you have the ability to set some criteria that helps you know what stage the person is in their journey. So if they're just out there, just looking, probably because it's still a little bit far out for them to make a move, you would know. You'll be able to capture it in the forms that you're going to embed with the ads. And then if the person fills the form and says, 3 months, I'm making a move in 3 months, of course, this person is a priority. And then it allows you to really follow up with them as well. But that's another way as well that you can market. But most importantly, there's what they call an attraction agent. And I find it to be more effective, and I like it the most. And that's one part that I have told, and I want to even do better. Now, when you do the online lead generation, you have the phone numbers and email, you have to call them, reach out to them, and things like that. So you're pursuing them, right? But when you're an attraction agent, people are the ones calling you. You're not chasing any particular person, they are coming to you. And how do you become an attraction agent? Consistent marketing. Marketing in the sense that you bring value to people and you leverage platforms like YouTube where you put video content, of topics that are really, really important to people. So, of course, now video is the best marketing technique, no doubt, that has the best conversion rate. Not behind the keyboard and just writing plenty stories and posting on Facebook. People don't have the patience to read. They don't have the patience, sorry. But videos, they can watch it. As a matter of fact, there are certain contents that you put, even as real, in a day or two, you see that 1,000 people watched it. But I can't say the same when you write a post because they just scroll past. They don't have time to read plenty story. So video is the best. And what's the best platform for you to push out your video? YouTube, especially if it's a long video, you leverage YouTube. And then if it's short videos, you use Reels, and Facebook and things like that. Right? So when you constantly put out value to people using those platforms like YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, people see the value. They want to learn more about what you talked about because oftentimes you're not able to put all the details in that video. You're just, doing more pretty much like an highlight of it. So some people may want to have questions, some people may have questions, and then they call you. So when they call you and ask you those questions, you also get a chance to find out where they are in their own journey as well. And then that's the best form because you're not pursuing somebody, saying, oh, who's this calling me? When they call, they know you. They are the ones calling you. So it's a lot easier for you to convert those people into transactions as opposed to when you're pursuing. However, if let's say you've done customer service before, you like being on the phone, there is an opportunity for you in lead generation through Google ads and Facebook ads. Trust me, not too many people do it, so you have an opportunity there for you to do something for yourself. But you have to market, whether as an attraction agent or you're the one running after clients, through all the various strategies, you have to consistently market yourself. And then the next one is follow up and for you to stay in touch. So it ties back to the relationship management I talked about. You have to follow up with people, especially those that you know where they are in their journey. You have to consistently, periodically, there are different people or different recommendations. Some people will tell, some books will say, make at least 40 contacts with everybody on your sphere of influence a year. That 40 contacts includes phone call, email marketing, and then even mailing. So you mail, materials to their addresses through Canada Post, right? Some will say, for me, I do more of around 25, and even out of that 25, maybe 5 to 10 will be phone calls because I like talking to people, and getting to learn about them because that's also how I build the trust. So you have to follow up with people, to show that you care. Even if they're not ready. When you follow up with them, you get to learn more about them and learn about how to help them because some people may not buy because they feel like they cannot buy now. But when you start checking in and you're talking to them, you find out that you know a lender who might be able to accommodate their situation that will enable them buy now. So it's very, very important that you follow up with people, especially leads that you already have in your pipeline. You have to follow up. And then, of course, professional development and education. You cannot give what you don't have. And the best way to caption this is know your product, know the market, know about the economy. Because people don't know the difference between, like I said, realtor and a mortgage broker, a realtor and a mortgage broker. They don't know the difference in their role. They will call you and they will be asking you mortgage questions, right? So having an idea, just a little idea about what's going on can save you some embarrassment and show that at least you're trying to stay in touch with what is going on, in the market, in the industry, in the economy. And then after that point, you can now refer them to an industry professional who does mortgage to really break it down for them. So you need to know your product in terms of houses, pre-construction, resale, communities, and things like that. Because when people are buying, they are buying into the community, they are buying into the amenities in the community. So if you don't know about the communities where they can get certain product types or certain facilities or utilities, how do you help them make a decision or how do you bring value to them? So you need to know your product. You need to understand your market. Are you in a seller's market? Are you in a buyer's market? What market are we? Where are we heading? Even though you cannot say for sure 100% that this is where the market is going, you can give an opinion backed by data. So based on the data that's available to you, you'll be able to make an opinion because again, nobody knows where it's going to go. When certain things happen down the line, it changes direction, right? So, but when you give your opinion, you back it up with data, it makes sense. And you're saying, hey, if anything changes, the plan might change because it's a fluid situation. And you say that so that they will understand that, when things changes, your position changes. So they will not say, oh, he said we should buy it last week. Buy last week, maybe sell this week. But that's also why you're a realtor and why people should stay in touch with you and you stay in touch with them because as things continue to change, the market cycle might change, which might change, the information that you put out there and you make those appropriate disclosures. So it is very important that you train yourself, learn certain skills or, add to your skill level, be it how you communicate, be it even graphic design on a small level, working with Canva. Because as a new agent, you may not have big budgets to really work with a marketing team and things like that. At some point, you may have to do some of the things as a DIY. So it is very essential. Now, yes, now let's come to the marketing techniques proper now. So the first one there is the online presence where we talked about the website and the Google business page and things like that. The second one is the social media, which is the most powerful way, or I'll call it your personal website that people go to the most. Because when you put out pictures, you put out videos, you put out content, people see it. We're all scrolling through our phones, multiple hours a day. But most importantly, when you're on social media, what you're doing there is more important. One thing is to be there. The other thing is what you're doing there. Whatever it is you're doing there should bring value to people. It should bring value to people, not when people just say, you don't post another one. No. That's why video is the best because, again, for every video you post, you're talking about something and they want to hear what you have to say, especially when it's been tried somehow and tested. Tried in the sense that I'm also a mortgage broker, just so you know. And the reason why I took the mortgage course is because I wanted to understand how real estate interacts with the financial side of things. So when people call me, I'm able to talk to them as a realtor and I'm also able to advise them as a mortgage broker. Right? So now when I put out some time ago, I made my own opinion in terms of where the market is going and I backed it up by data that was available at the time. The market went that way because at some point it was really obvious that interest rates were going to go up given the inflation and things like that. And I told people, I did a video and I said, hey, if you're looking to buy soon, do a pre-approval with the lender. They do a rate hold for 90 days to 120 days, depending on the lender. Do the pre-approval, hold the rate and wait. If the interest rate starts going up, we know that the market might flatten out or deepen a lot or a little bit, or at least reduce competition, and then you get a chance to buy the property at a better price, or at least less competition, or at least lower than when you're in a bidding war. But most importantly, you already held your rate when it was lower. It's something that I did for myself. And some people listened, and they did it, and it worked. So when I put out videos, people like that, they always follow my videos because they believe that there is something of value that I'm bringing to them in that video and they want to know what it is. So when you do things like that, talking about being in the social media space, when you're bringing out things that add value to people, then they stay connected to you. They get to learn about you even before they meet you. They know how you talk, they know how you look, so it sets the expectation. Because I've seen cases where people have done online lead generation, When you're doing online lead generation, oftentimes they don't know who's behind it because it's pretty much generic in terms of, I'll give you an example. If you've ever seen any ads on Facebook that says houses in Calgary below $500,000 or front drive homes in Calgary below $550,000, you don't know who's putting out the ad. Maybe the name of the ad will say Calgary Homes, Calgary Home Finder, whatever it is. And then you click on it, you put your name, put your email address, and things like that. But you don't know who's behind it, right? And then somebody calls you and say, oh, that you signed up here, here, here. Then you now remember that, okay, that's where, they got my information from, and then you talk to them. I've seen cases where you call people, and then they will act like they don't know you, or like they didn't fill out the form. And you begin to wonder, but you fill the form. And sometimes when they hear your accent, they just don't like you when you call them. But when you put out videos, they already know you. They already seen your face. They already know how you talk. They know what to expect. So you have screened who's coming to you by default. So whoever comes to you is comfortable with how you look, is comfortable with how you talk, is comfortable with you, which helps you because, again, one is having leads, but having leads that convert into deals is another thing. So it helps you. So again, social media is something definitely you have to be part of. The other one is email marketing. Very, very effective as well. So personally, I'll give an example how I use this email marketing. When I find a deal, maybe a pre-construction, a builder that is doing a project, maybe the project has just been released, and I think it's a good value, I use the email marketing because I know that most of my clients might want to buy an investment properties. So the ones that already have their emails, by building your database through all of those techniques we talked about before, I send them the opportunity with my own opinion about how this, property makes a good investment. Trust me, even those who had no intention to buy, when they see the analysis, probably they had money, they were looking to probably invest in other vehicles. When they see, they'll be like, maybe I should just do this instead. That becomes a business for you. They call you back and say, you know what? Yes, put me on that deal. And you'll be shocked that you're able to do 5 deals in 1 day or 2 days. That tells you the power of email marketing. But it takes some process to build your mailing list, and you use like your website. And then you can also use Facebook ads as well to capture such leads. I'll give an example of such leads. When you say foreclosure listings in Calgary, people know that foreclosures are usually cheaper. So you say, hey, receive foreclosure listings in Calgary, right? They click on it, they give you their name and their email because they want to receive it. And in all honesty, too, you send them the foreclosure. All you need to do is use the Realtor tools, the MLS. You can set it up there for them to receive, those kind of listings when they come on the market. But most importantly, you have your email, and in that form, you're also having a checkbox that says, hey, that they consent to you sending them marketing stuff. So now you have the email, and you're able to send them these opportunities when you find one. The idea is not to just send them anyhow email or just be sending email every day. The idea is when you send an email, send an email with something that has value. And trust me, it does convert to business. And then the other one is networking. Again, we see people say because of maybe they are introverts or extreme introverts, they don't want to talk to anybody, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to go to events, they just want to stay home, read their books, watch TV, eat and sleep. Nobody knows you, and nobody's going to come to you. When I started out, after a while, after a few months, I started out, I rented an office, my personal office. And I was there for months. Nothing was happening, like 3 months. I was frustrated. I have an office, I'm paying an office. I was with a cheap brokerage at the time in terms of commission split and things like that. But I was wondering, like, how do I survive? This is how this thing is. And then I spoke to a friend who told me, said, who know you? Who know you when one come to your office? When I left, I had a rethink. The truth is, yes, you have an office. Maybe you even tried your best to set it very well, that is very nice. But who's coming to the office? Who knows you to come to the office? Especially when you're new. So you have to go to people at gatherings, in church, anywhere, some birthdays. Go to some birthdays. Talk to people while you're there. Not just going, but if you don't have intention to talk to somebody there, don't go. No need. But when you go, just feel free. Bring good energy to the room. Introduce yourself to certain people. Oh, hi. And afterwards, one-on-one, what do? You start asking them questions about themselves, and you tell them what you do as well, and you exchange phone numbers. I like exchanging phone numbers because they see me on WhatsApp. Without seeing me on WhatsApp, they remember me. It's part of the mind share. So you see that the whole thing is connected. It's all connected. So you have to go out of your comfort zone to do things that makes you uncomfortable but moves your business. It moves the needle. And then we talk about content marketing. Again, it ties back to the videos that you're making. The content. What information are you bringing to people? Or are you just posting random pictures or pictures that doesn't bring value to people? As much as you should mix it up, you're bringing value, but sometimes it's good for people to have an idea into your life a little bit, not life. You know what I mean? But again, there's nothing wrong when you go on vacation and you post a picture of it. You know what I mean? So just a little bit of content to mix it up. You don't want to be posting only property all the time. It gets boring. You know, people want to have an idea into your personality, you know, and things like that. So you mix it up, but know the boundaries. Don't post things that, you know, puts you, you know, some type of reflects poorly on you and things like that. You got to be careful. And most especially put up more professional front, you know, in addition to a little bit about your life and things like that. The good thing is we're in North America, it's a little bit safer than back home when they say, hey, they shouldn't know your plate number. They shouldn't do this. Yes, there are valid reasons, but again, there are certain contents you may want to make in terms of your personal brand that might require you to shoot videos that shows your plate number. It doesn't, for me, it's not a problem. Besides, if somebody wants to get your number, really wants to get your number, they can get your number when you leave from your plate, right? So, but most importantly, bring something that has value to people. And then client testimonials. Remember when I talked about the Google business page, collect the testimonials. It gives people the opportunity to have an idea of how you service your clients. It will definitely help you grow your business. And then consistent branding. Now, this branding is a whole different topic. We can discuss it as a full session about branding. And it's just about the image. Is pretty much more of perception. It may not necessarily be 100%, but oftentimes when it's close to 100% of who you truly are, it makes it easier for you to be consistent in your branding, right? But it's about perception, how people see you, how, you know, when people think about you, what comes to mind? What image of you do they have? Right? That's the whole idea of branding. And there are certain ways you can brand yourself. And everything plays a role in terms of either how you dress. You can brand around your vehicle. You can brand around an item. It could be your vehicle. You can brand around your vehicle. You can brand around how you look. The whole idea is perception, the image that you would like people to see. When you look in the mirror, you want people to see you that type of way and, you know, perceive you that type of way. So again, because you're in the sales business, I get this a lot. People say, how I dress doesn't matter. In sales, it matters. Because when they see you, they already formed an opinion. And we know that oftentimes they will say, in their mind, there's a way they will see you, they will say, I mean, I want to have this one. And then they talk to you and treat you some type of way that you go back home at night and you begin to wonder, am I really meant to do this kind of business? It's perception. So how you look, how you talk, plays a role in terms of how people perceive you and how serious they take you. And it's all part of your personal branding. And then community involvement. Again, my first lead came from the church, like I said, and that was because I serve in church. So community, the church is a community. We have a Nigerian community. Even the states have associations that you can network. There are also other professional associations that you can belong to. You have to network with people, get involved, serve, give back to the community that is about to bless you. And then we'll talk about the income, the money part. How much can I make as a realtor? Now, it can vary largely. On average, you'll say $50,000 to $100,000. But I also know realtors in Calgary here who make close to $500,000 a year. And I know some who make $250,000, $300,000, $150,000 a year. And as a business, you get a chance to write off so many expenses. So your take home is even better because first of all, you write off as many things. You know, talk to your accountant. We have an accountant here now. You know how you do it. Write off all the expenses as much as you can, before you declare your net income and then pay taxes on that. So at the end of the day, you go home with more money. And because you're doing a business, I'll give you an example. The car you drive can be under your business. Accountant will confirm that information later, but I do it. My business pays for my car. I don't have to worry about paying for my car from the income that I've paid tax on. The business pays it. It makes things a lot easier for me, right? So those are some of the opportunities. But again, there is no limit to how much you can make in this business. There is absolutely no limit you can make. There are realtors who make a million. Yes, they are outliers. But what if you are the outlier? What if you're the one that is first, probably within your circle, to make close to $1 million a year? It's possible. That's the whole idea. It's possible. You can make good money in this business. And the good thing is this: the longer you stay in the business, the better it gets, because more people know you. As a matter of fact, I've seen two-generation realtors. I've seen realtors who helped somebody buy a house and also helped their children buy a house. Those kind of ones, they're not even marketing to those ones. Those are already their clients. They are just there on standby. So the longer you stay, the more people know what you do. The more people reach out to you. The more the people that you have worked with will send you referrals. So the more your business continues to grow, as long as you continue to nurture that relationship and nurture, that friendship. So to end the presentation, I like to read this statement that reads: embark on your journey in real estate with passion, persistence, and a commitment to turning dreams into keys. Remember, in every door you unlock, you are not just selling a property, you are opening the gateway to someone's new beginning. Let your dedication to service and your love for the craft guide you as you shape the dreams of others in their cherished realities. Thank you. Question. So the answer depends on what are the policies of the people you're working for or you're working with. Because as far as the real estate side of things, there is no major limit here, So as long as your other job or other role or commitment allows you to be a realtor, you can be a realtor. I know realtors, again, I'm a realtor and I'm a mortgage broker. I've heard of realtors who are lawyers because they allow it. So it depends. The answer is it depends on who you're working with. If their policies allow you, yes, you can, but the restriction is not coming from the real estate side of things.
Yes, I understand. So I was one question regarding the English testing. For IELTS, would you happen to know if what you did for here coming in, if we could use the same results for this one, for IELTS?
Yeah, so I don't have that answer in terms of the validity of the IELTS. If it's 2 years, then of course definitely should be able to use it. If it's valid, you can, yes, of course, if it's valid, you can use it. It's the same body, it's the same stuff. You can use it for sure, right? One of the things you can do is also to call the record on the website. There's a phone number. They're very responsive as well. You can call and verify that information. But I believe you can. You don't have any reason why they shouldn't accept it. It's the same body, it's the same assessment, the same goal. They will accept it.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Mr. Richard. And I just want to say thank you because I've learned so much within just 1 hour of my time here. God bless you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask about, when you're talking about when you get to the part of joining a brokerage, right? You have to pay to join a brokerage. Just maybe you can clarify that for me. Say I'm just ready to join the brokerage. Do I have to pay them to join the brokerage at that point, or what happens?
Yes, so every brokerage is different. Some brokerages charge you a sign-up fee, some don't. As of today, for instance, Rare Broker wouldn't charge a sign-up fee. But if you're joining other brokerages, Some require you to pay a sign-up fee. One thing that I did not mention is how much it might cost you to be a realtor. That's one part that I missed. So, as of today, $5,000 can get you licensed. In the absence of credential assessment that you're doing with either WES or IQAS, but as far as paying you for your eligibility, taking the course, when you sign up with the brokerage, you pay certain money to RECA for your error and omission insurance, and then you join the local board, which is CREB, and area fees. If you sum that up, you're around the $5,000. Again, the cost providers vary in price, right? So that might, make the number to be a little bit more, a little bit less. But to take an average, $5,000, will get you from the beginning to when you become a realtor. So again, back to your question. So it depends on the brokerage you're joining. So that's why when you're interviewing the brokerage, you learn about their split, their sign up, if there's any sign up fees, what they're giving you, to support you. Are they going to guide you through the process? Are they going to hold your hands? Do they have an office space you can use? In a case where you're not the type that likes to work from home, maybe you just want to leave home, there's a place you always want to go because that's where you focus when you're working, right? So you get a chance to find out what the structure is. So it forms part of what they're offering, right? And then you'll be able to choose one that aligns with, with what you're looking for. But most importantly is being part of a team that will see to your growth is very important. It's hard to find, but it can save you months and years of struggle.
I have a question. Thank you, Mr. Richard, for the presentation. It was really wonderful. My question is on the selling part of the business. I just want to know how it works. I'm seeing agents on the particular broker, 2, 3, marketing the particular property. Like I'm seeing 3 agents posting about the particular property on their broker. How does it work? Like, okay, if one person went to the sell, I can also know how that selling part works. Don't they agree with this?
I will try. If I didn't get it well there, maybe you rephrase or paraphrase that question. So when it comes to selling, whether you're buying or you're selling, the idea from the legal standpoint is when a realtor is working for you, he's working for you on behalf of the brokerage. So the contract that you sign, the exclusive seller representation agreement, is between you and the brokerage. Now, a brokerage can have 2 structures. The brokerage can either be a common law or a designated agency. Now, in a case where the brokerage is a common law agency, the law says it that every agent in that brokerage works for you, right? So to answer the question, agents within the same brokerage can market the same property because again, they're all part of the brokerage who's working for you because they are only trading on behalf of the brokerage for marketing purposes. However, the marketing will be consistent. Does that answer your question? Yeah, so the marketing will be consistent, but again, you can't see more than one brokerage market the same property at the same time. No, they cannot. They are not allowed to do so.
I think what he's asking is, how we go and Google and we see different companies advertising the same house. If the house eventually sells, like who takes the profits, is that? So yeah, that's what
Yeah, but I think it's like, because what you say is, for example, Red Rover is advertising the customer and you have it advertising the same house. So at the end of the day, what they say is, okay, we ask them, so,
Okay.
is it, I'm going to go with look at the
Yeah, so good you clarified that. So let me explain better now. So there's what they call an exclusive seller representation agreement, and there is a non-exclusive, right? So a non-exclusive means that the seller is not tied to any particular agent. So at the end of the day, it's the agent that sells the house that gets the commission. But when they go into an exclusive, another realtor or another brokerage let me use this word, another brokerage cannot even market the property in the first place because the seller already has an exclusive relationship with this particular seller. So therefore, not more than one brokerage can market that property at a time. The contract of the current realtor or the brokerage has to expire or terminated before another brokerage can even market it. So there's not going to be any conflict of who's going to get paid in that context because it's who is under contract with the seller that gets paid and is only the person that can market. And even in some cases, depending on how the contract is written, even if the seller knows somebody that wants to buy, right? Depending on how the contract is written, the person may even also still have to go through the realtor to complete the sale because there's a lot of things that goes into the transaction, right? And also because mortgage is involved as well. The bank or the lenders are very wary about who's involved in the transaction, how did they come about, and if there's anybody that can be held accountable in terms of their practices.
Okay, thank you. And then my own question, back to the IELTS. If you have, say, something higher than high school, and you've gone through licensing, and you have your license, does that replace the IELTS?
So the IELTS is I hope I'm answering the question well, but again, it's just to prove that proficiency in English. The reason why WIAC works is because in WIAC you studied English. There's English as a subject. So when they do the assessment, they accept it that you've done English, so you understand English. So you just doing any program that is above high school does not waive English proficiency because that is a different category. So they have, of course, academic requirement that needs you to be high school or above, but they also have proficiency in English, which is either IELTS or you did you studied here. If you studied here, then of course you don't have a problem. But if you did not study here, then of course either you're doing IELTS or you are getting your WIAC or SSE assessed because there is English in that. So if your WIAC doesn't have English, which I don't believe anybody that has a WIAC doesn't have English, then that's going to be a problem. But I think English is mandatory, so everybody has done WIAC has English as a subject in that.
What if you did like master's or diploma here in Canada? Can you go through that route?
I've seen people have challenges that have done masters here with that English proficiency. So even though you've studied here, it doesn't guarantee that they will because it doesn't address English. So to say, even though you studied here in English, but again, it can go both ways. So if you go back and read the material, they lay emphasis in terms of what they accept. And I don't think there's anything there that says if you study here postgraduate, for instance, that it qualifies you for the English. No, because there are people from countries that are not English speaking, so to say, right? So, yeah.
Okay, last question. How do you contact WIAC for the IELTS?
So the WIAC is if you have a certificate already, if you scan it and send it to IQAS, call somebody in Nigeria to send you, buy the scratch card and send you the PIN, you submit it along with the application, they will assess it. Yeah, IQAS.
So like you didn't even have to. Yeah, a web that just Google like WIAC structure.
Okay.
So back to this question. So what will make a seller sign exclusivity with one broker as opposed to not doing? Is there any advantage?
Yes. I'll give an example. I do not work for clients who wouldn't sign an exclusive because it's not worth my time. So imagine a seller working with 5 realtors. They are all running around town. Let's say they want to buy, for instance. You're running around town, driving around town for 2 months, and they're very picky. And then after 2 months, you now see the person on Facebook with sold sign. You know what I mean? And guess what? And I've seen, again, all seriously, I've seen this thing happen. I've seen people who they will come with one realtor and negotiate to get some money back from the commission. But they know that the realtor doesn't have knowledge or is not knowledgeable enough. They will not go to the other one that they believe has knowledge. They will be seeking for advice from this one. But it's this one that will close the deal because they're getting money back. So imagine you being on this side, which is the advice is one of the major things that you do as a realtor, right? And then you're doing the work and not being paid. It doesn't make sense to me. If you feel like I have the value or that I have what it takes to sell your home, even if you're committing to me for the barest minimum amount of time that the law allows, because when you're selling, at least you have to go into contract for 60 days. If you cannot trust me enough to go into contract with me for 60 days to sell your home, then I can't work for you, right? Because again, remember that this job is commission based. So working for somebody that has no intention to pay you, is risky. So for me and my agents, I strongly recommend exclusivity. Whether you're buying or selling, you have to go with us exclusively. Again, especially when you're buying from me, for instance, I don't lock you in for a very long time personally. I do 30 days, like 1 month, oftentimes. The whole idea is that when you work with me for 30 days, you will see the value that I bring, and you wouldn't want to go somewhere else, and you will renew our contract. Unlike some realtors that want to tie you for like longer time, 3 months, 6 months. Most of the way I see it, I feel like they are not confident enough in their abilities. So they want to use the contract to hold you so that you don't go anywhere and you tolerate whatever they throw at you. But for me, it's oftentimes 1 month, except when you're selling where we need to sign 60 days minimum. 1 month, if you work with me, if you're not happy, you get a chance to also leave. Me self will leave. Everybody will be happy than, being together, but we're angry. We're coming to see a house. Your face is strong like this. Me too. My face is strong. It doesn't work well, right? So, yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for the insightful conversations you've had. So I just wanted to ask in regards to the examination, is it self-paced? Is it something you can register at any time and write at any time, or it's actually time-based?
Yeah, no. Once you're done, you can reach out to there are centers that proctor these exams, so you can reach out to them and schedule the exam, right? So when you go is computer based, so you sit down there, but they time you once the exam starts, of course, it's timed. So you need to answer the questions within that time frame. But there is nothing that restricts you in terms of when to book an appointment to write the exam, so to say. But definitely, when you're done with the course, you don't want to wait too long, because soon you start forgetting what you read. And some of the questions, the answers can look so much alike that sometimes when you take long after you've studied to go write the exam, you get confused. So you want to write the exam as quickly as possible after you're done with the course.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for this session. So I have two questions. The first one is about the brokerage you talked about. If when you're done with your licensing and then you want to choose a brokerage, in the event that you choose one that you feel like you kind of made the mistake, how easy is it to leave a brokerage from one brokerage to another? Are you required to sign a contract, or like is it a fixed term? And then the second question, I can just ask the two. So as a realtor, if it's a funny question, so I don't know if you can, from the top of your head, just give me an idea. So as a realtor, and you help a client purchase a house, let's assume a $600,000 house. What is the estimated take home of the realtor with all the sign-up fees? Let's assume. No, I just want to put some context to to the take home. So what is the estimated amount if sign up fees and everything, or if you belong to a team that you have to also pay a cut to and all this kind of stuff? Just
Okay. Yeah. So the first question is about if you can leave the brokerage if you made a mistake. It depends on the contract that you signed. Some brokerages you have to be with them for 2 years, some 1 year, some you can leave at any time. So again, this is part of the questions you ask them to see, what they do, so that you will be able to do your own analysis or risk assessment in terms of what if I'm not happy here. So yes, it's very important for people who are starting out to go with brokerages that allows them to leave without, that doesn't tie them. They can leave at any time. It's very important, so that if you're not happy with what you're seeing, or maybe they are not delivering on what they promised you when you interview them, you get a chance to leave without having to, fight over how to break the contract. Now, let's talk about the numbers in terms of if you sell a home. Legally, there is no set commission when you're buying or selling. Legally, the law does not stipulate a certain metrics for calculating your commission. However, what we see in the industry oftentimes when you're representing a buyer is typically 3.5% on the first $100,000 of the purchase price, and then 1.5% on the balance of the purchase price. So when you do the math, the first 100,000 is 3.5. Then you do 1.5% of the balance, usually from my head, I know it's going to be between 8,006 and 9,008, and then they'll pay you GST on top as well. So that's typically how it's calculated oftentimes. But again, there is no set, I'm required to say this for the purpose of, regulation. There is no set fee. It depends on what the seller is offering, but oftentimes we see 3.5, 1.5 respectively.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Hi, thank you for your presentation, very educative. So my question is it compulsory? So since somebody is licensed to operate, I want to see myself as an entity, sort of, right? Because I'm going to now be getting some tax, writing off some profit and all those kind of things. So is it compulsory to operate under a brokerage? Then, if you're under a brokerage, I know there are resources like you had mentioned, space, maybe some presentation slides and all those kind of things. Is there a subscription sometimes that you have, apart from the sign-up fees, which you said your entity doesn't charge, but some others might? Is there a subscription fee to utilize those resources like on a monthly basis? So my concern here, not concern, what I want to know is monthly or annually, what are the recurrent expenses to stay in business? That's from the brokerage side. Then from the regulatory body side, for every professional body, there is this annual subscription and stuff. How many of them are we paying? Have I created? So what is the average annual recurrent expense to stay in business?
Okay, so 3 questions, and I want to make sure I don't forget anyone. So the first one is, remember what I said, when you join the brokerage, I said that the brokerage will initiate your license. So there is no way you can operate independently. The brokerage that you join will be the ones to start the licensing through their own record portal, and then you complete your own section. So you cannot be independent, no, because the law wants everybody to be under a certain umbrella who oversees them. That is why, for me, for instance, as a broker, my license is tied to all my agents. And I'm also responsible for them to a certain degree. So when they are reckless in a deal, when the lawsuit comes, or the brokerage will be named as a defendant as well. Now, what I have to do as a broker is to demonstrate to them that I have put things in place, to mitigate things like this. So either by training or whatever, but I have to demonstrate to a certain level what I've done, for my agents not to do things like this. That's the only way I will be removed from that case. If not, I'm also as liable as the agent that is reckless, right? So they want that oversight to be there. So you cannot be. That is one. The second one, in terms of recurring expenses based on the brokerage. Now, it depends on the brokerage you're joining. Yes, there are some brokerages that charge what they call desk fees. So for you to come into the office and use the space and things like that, photocopying, they charge you for photocopying as well, and things like that. Every brokerage is pretty much independently owned and operated. So everybody sets their own tone in terms of how they intend to stay afloat as a business, So that's why I said oftentimes the ones that are cheap cannot give you everything you're looking for because it costs money. And the ones that will give you close to probably what you think will work for you that you need, because it costs money, they have to charge you more, right? So again, the answer is depend on the brokerage that you're joining. You find out what they charge on monthly basis. For instance, my brokerage do not charge on monthly basis for now, right? It's only when you make a transaction that we do a commission split of 90-10. But yeah, that's it. So it depends on the brokerage that you're joining. And then the last one is the regulatory standpoint. First of all, every realtor is required to renew the license on the 30th of September of every year. And there is a fee for it, around $650 annually. And then, of course, it's not mandatory, but it is highly, highly recommended that you be part of CREB, by extension, CREA and AREA, because CREB is the provider of the MLS service. MLS system. You need the MLS system for your day-to-day operation. As a matter of fact, without tools like that, you are just a normal person who just read books and no value. Because that's where you see all the properties that are up for sale, all the ones that have sold that were listed. So you'll be able to do analysis to analyze the property. So you hear things like CMA, comparative market analysis. That's how you come up with the value of a property in the current market. You have to look at the sale record. Similar properties are sold in that neighborhood within the past 30 days to 90 days, and you make adjustments. If you don't have access to the MLS system, how will you be able to do this assessment? You know what I mean? Again, Realtors have what they call Realtor Lockbox, and it's powered, or we use what they call Sentry Lock to open those lockboxes. If you're not subscribed, if you're not a part of CREB, you're not subscribed to the service, when you take a client to show a property, how do you gain access to the property? So you see that you have to be part of the local board, right? And then they charge, I don't have those exact numbers here in terms of recurring costs, but again, it doesn't break the bank for sure. You're using Sentry Lock, Sentry Key. They charge you, Pillar 9, I think Pillar 9 is $19 a month. CREB charges few fees here. As a matter of fact, I just set up my credit card there, but I know it doesn't break the bank. It doesn't break the bank at all, to stay licensed.
Thank you. Just an additional, not an additional question. So that's 650, for example. I know it's province by province or city by city. Is that 650 now just for your Calgary operations, or it will permit you to be a member of selling also outside of Alberta?
No, that's only Alberta. So that money is collected by the Real Estate Council of Alberta, the same record that we talked about. They're the ones that take it every year. So that's it. If you, again, remember the context of this session is we're focusing only on Alberta. If you want to trade anywhere else, you have to get your license and join the local board, because they use, even in Alberta, we have different MLS systems. The MLS system in Calgary is different from the one in Edmonton. Calgary uses Pillar 9, Edmonton uses Paragon. So if you're not a member of Edmonton board, yes, Pillar 9 sometimes gives you certain information about properties in Edmonton, but it's not detailed. So for you to really see detailed information about those properties, like for me, I'm part of Edmonton local board as well, the Realtors Association of Edmonton as well. And also because I want to have access to those tools, because again, as a brokerage, we operate across the province of Alberta. So I want to be able to have, especially as the head of the brokerage, I should be able to help my clients, help my agents out, especially when they have a deal there, but they're not licensed, like they're not part of the local board. But because they are licensed in Alberta, they can trade anywhere. So if they are trading a property in Edmonton and they need information about that property, I'm able to help them pull up that information without them having to subscribe, to be part of the local board.
Thank you so much for the info session. So I want to add to what she asked earlier regarding the postgraduate, using postgraduate as for IELTS.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been interested in real estate for some time, and I have some friends that are already licensed. So a friend of mine recently got her license, and she didn't use her WAEC because she studied here.
Yeah.
So she used her postgraduate for the English proficiency. Yeah. So, but I would say it's also wise to confirm from Reka. Yeah. She did the masters.
Masters, oh, awesome, good to know. Yeah. So again, I think that's the right answer there. Masters can, but again, verify from Reka, just to be sure that you're good to go.
Thank you for the insightful information. My name is Ebuka. The question I want to ask is the way real estate agent is set up. Is it something someone can do on the side while doing their everyday life?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, but one thing I can tell you is that it requires even more discipline to do it, because again, you have every reason now to be tired not to do the things that you need to do to move the needle in your business, right? So if you really want to work and you came back, you're tired, how do you want to start turning on the camera, trying to make a video and things like that, right? Sometimes you're like, you know what, I'm tired, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. You keep procrastinating, right? The answer is yes, you can do it part-time. I have agents who do part-time and they do very well. They do very, 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 very well, right? So yes, but you just have to be disciplined enough, hungry for it. Do still find time to do what you need to do to, to move your business forward. Yes.
The next question is on flipping property. Can you kind of give like a 2 minutes, like a short reel on? I mean, it's something I'm interested. I'm handy as well, and when you mentioned you did it, I want to kind of build on your experience.
Okay. So I think we did a session a couple of months ago. Did I talk about flipping? There was a seminar I did, the webinar that I did, that I talked about flipping. So just to give you high level, I think probably still something that you know before, but just to let you know that one is, of course, you have to understand the market that you're in, right? To know if it's like lately, people are flipping brand new properties as opposed to flipping older properties because prices are going up, There's some level of risk, but it's a calculated risk where you sign a deal with a builder, and then before it's ready, the price have gone up. In all fairness, all the deals that my clients bought this year between January and March, they've all gone up over $100,000 each, minimum, right? So some of those clients are selling the property now, pay commission and everything. They're still working away with like probably 60 grand around those numbers. So people flip brand new properties, but you can also flip old properties as well. The reason why I'm referencing it is because the market can determine, what you should do, and will also help you know what the risk associated with that particular deal is, so that you'll be able to decide whether or not I should take on this particular project. For instance, when I was doing the condos, I knew there was an opportunity there at the time, right? So I was doing the condos, but now those condos are not longer affordable. The first two condos that I bought, one was for 185, the other one was 189. Right now, the same complex is 325, 340. So if I buy similar property, fix it up, how much am I going to sell it, right? So the context that remains the same, but there's need for you to understand the market where we are, understand how it can impact where you're going. And also, a few things you should know again is that the location of the property plays a role. Every neighborhood has a cap in terms of what people are willing to pay for that neighborhood. So if you go above and beyond and put all the nicest stuff in a bid to sell, regardless of that improvement, people are not willing to pay more than a certain amount of money for that neighborhood. So it boils back to the analysis, having a comprehensive detail and having an exit plan. Exit plan is key when you're flipping. Now I'll tell you what it means. The idea of exit plan is if something goes wrong when you have already started the project, you already bought the house, right? And you're doing improvement in the case where you're buying other property, but even if you're buying brand new property, the concept is the same. From the time you bought to the time you sell, if the market changes against you, what are you going to do? Are you going to lose money? Are you still going to sell, take your losses? Are you going to rent the property? Will the property be able to pay itself for you to hold it for the market to rebound before you sell? You have to understand what happens to you. So as much as we are all looking at upward trajectory for prices, anything can happen. So as part of your analysis, you understand, what's going to happen, and then you'll be able to decide how you want to go. And then when changes happen, you'll be able to adjust your plan because you understand how any one activity or chain of activities can affect the overall plan. Does it make sense?
So I just wanted to put more color on how you do this part-time. So say for example now you're just a fresh person, you just got licensed and you want to work with a broker, right? So, and you have your regular job, maybe 9 to 5 job, Monday to Friday. So how do you work with a broker when you want to do this part-time?
Yeah, so it boils back to those conversations that you need to have with the broker when you're interviewing. Because oftentimes most brokerages maybe do the training during the day, busy work hours. Some are cloud-based, So you just go watch videos, but sometimes you want that human interaction to be able to ask questions real time, right? So these are the things you ask the broker to say, hey, this is my schedule, and I know I need support and things like that. Are you able to help me after hours? Are you able to help or do the trainings for me, weekends? Or what's your model? How do you do the training and things like that? So you have to be upfront with your situation so that you guys can come to an agreement in terms of how they can support you. On the personal side of things, you need to have, in addition to the discipline we talked about, you need to have a calendar and time management. You really have to up your game in terms of time management. So that way you'll be able to schedule your appointments in the case where you're working with buyer clients and you have to show them properties. You have to work with them and you have to be very good at communicating. So that way you'll be able to, set up those showings, after your work, but you'll also have to be convenient for your client. And those are the shortcomings of doing it part-time. But if you do it well, you still can thrive in this business. Yeah, but it's just a little bit challenging because some clients want it now. Some clients are only available weekends. Some clients are only available during work hours and things like that, right? On the other hand, if that becomes a challenge, you can also partner with somebody in your team in the brokerage to say, hey, for such clients, for instance, you can call up somebody and say, hey, who's available to help me show this property and blah, blah, blah. And you do a commission split with them. So instead of you losing the business, you get to get somebody who can help you do all the showing during work hours when you're at work and keep the conversation alive until you close for work. They give you updates, you touch base with the client, and then you do what you need to do to close the deal. So that's just pretty much how it works. In terms of help, discuss it with your broker, right? And then in terms of your personal side, do the best you can after hours. But for clients that, their timeline will not work for you, work with other agents within the brokerage, to help you keep the ball rolling.
Brother Richard, thank you very much. I'm here. Yeah, please. Honestly, I really enjoyed your presentation today. But I know last time you came, Pastor said you were still scratching the surface. So I still think you're still scratching the surface again. So maybe if you're willing to come again to talk about how to leverage mortgages, and because I know the idea today was the Realtor piece, and it's a question about flipping. There's also the part of, I don't know, turning the property into a cow and how that can, over a long period of time, leverage it basically. So, I don't know, please, your work, please, we want you to come begin to talk about that part too.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy my little tech talk. Again, we have to stick to the subject here. So it's because of the subject that we are addressing what we're addressing. I hope the leader of the department and the leadership of the church gives me the opportunity to discuss those other areas. And when we talk about real estate investment or using real estate as a vehicle for financial growth or for creating wealth, we can definitely dive into some of these strategies in terms of how you can actually create wealth using real estate as a vehicle. So I'm more than happy to do that if I'm given the privilege sometime. Yeah, thank you.
Bro Richard, I would say I've been following you on Facebook and I see the progress. I see how you do this business excellently well. You recently listed a property, I think 3 days ago or 2 days ago, and it's gone. So can you please tell us the secret, how you do it and how you're able to sell so fast?
Thank you. Let me blush a little bit. So the thing is, when it comes to selling, is marketing. You have to learn to market a property, right? And that's why, if you remember what I said before when I talked about personally not working with somebody if it's not exclusive, I wouldn't work if it's not exclusive, because when I work for you, I put my heart into what I do, and I try my best, to get, especially when you're selling, I want to get the most money for you. When you're buying, I want you to get the best value for your money, right? The answer there is marketing, and with the help of my team as well. And in the case of this particular deal too, it has to do with the relationships that you develop in the course of the business. The team that bought the property, they are people that I've worked with before as well. And I know them the same way they know me. So when they reached out to me and said, hey, we want to view the property, it wasn't the most convenient, but I had to talk to my client and say, hey, let these people in because I know what they're capable of doing. There's nothing like working with, an experienced realtor who's knowledgeable in what they do and are able to bring value to their clients and speak to clients, their clients in some type of way. So that was what happened in this case. So it's the client that I've worked, another professional that I've worked with before in the past, when he called me and said, hey, I said, go in there. I spoke to the owner of the house. We were able to accommodate the showing, and negotiation played a role as well because, mind you, we sold it above asking, even in this current market, way above asking. So the client is happy, I'm happy, and I'm proud to talk about it. But it boils back to marketing, and part of which is putting your heart into what you do. All right? So yeah, we sold in 2 days anyway.
Hi, Richard. Your last answer probably answers some of the questions I have, but the major question I have is it possible to sell a home in Alberta without a realtor? So imagine you have, two friends, one person wants to sell and the other friend wants to buy. What would be the rationale for them to go through a realtor?
Yes. So there is what they call for sale by owners. You guys can, but definitely you will also need the guidance of a lawyer. Anyway, you're gonna need a lawyer anyway down the road to close the deal. The answer to that is yes. However, sometimes too the the lender also wants to learn a little bit about the information as well of the property. So if you're able to coordinate all of those activities, right? Get all the documents, like for instance, like the RPR, if it's up to date, update it, or if you know technically what you can do or what you need to do for the property to sell, the answer is yes, you can sell between one another with the help of a lawyer, right? But you can also work with a realtor who will help. You don't have to now have to learn all the things that you need to do. And in this context, you already have a friend who wants to buy it. So there's, on the marketing side of things, there's nothing much the realtor has to do because the friend already knows the house, is comfortable buying it as it is. But again, there's also some level of risk on the side of the buyer, regardless of the fact that they are friends, because when they do the deal, and it's not well structured, after the friend takes over the property, the roof leaks, they come back and call your friend and say, you sent me house, we're not good. Furnace is not working, but you send me house, we're not good. Everything, you call him and say, you send me house, we're not good, all the time, right? On the side of the seller, before you know, this friction will just be there, fight and things like that. That one will say, I don't sell you. That one will say, oh, I buy him because of my friend. And because things are not, oftentimes when you do private deals like that, some things are not well spelled out, and the buyer doesn't get the best advice in terms of what they need to do to protect their interests, especially in the case of a resale, like doing inspection, understanding the implication of what the report is going to be, and how it all plays into post-possession. So again, it's still advisable for people to work with a realtor regardless, because again, you want that peace of mind when you as a seller, when you sell and move on, you want to move on move on. You don't want to sell and they're still pulling you back to that property because of something that has gone wrong or whatever. And on the side of the buyer, if you're also buying, you want to have peace of mind to know that I went through the due process, and understand, the warranties that you have, with regards to that property, because sometimes some repairs can be very expensive. And trust me, that friendship is gonna be tried when those things come up. So boils back to value. It's beyond money. So oftentimes don't look at the money that the person wants to pay. I still recommend having a realtor, but a realtor can, in this case, also facilitate the deal. A realtor can represent both people in a deal, but in this case, he will be a facilitator and wouldn't have to owe them fiduciary duties anyway. But again, for the purpose of the conversation, we don't have to go deep down, but they should use a realtor. I still advise they use a realtor to do the deal.
Thank you very much. Based on your last answer, I just have a question. So as a realtor, let's say I facilitated a deal, right? And after possession, maybe due to one reason or the other, the client discovered maybe mold or something in the property. At that point, will I be responsible for those discoveries, or maybe the property is not good and we didn't see that during inspection rather? Will I be responsible for that?
There is no definite answer. It's not a yes or no answer. Now, there's what they call material latent defect, right? That defect is things like mold, things that cannot be seen with the eyes normally. If the seller, oftentimes for mold to happen, there's maybe flooding of some sort, some heavy water stuff took place for mold to grow. Now, if the property is flooded or in the past, the seller ought to disclose it. So it falls under material latent defect in the sense that, yes, you just have to disclose that the house has been flooded previously and what they did, to put the house in order and things like that. So if they cannot establish, or if they can establish that they have no knowledge of such a defect, right, or anything that could have possibly caused it, let's say, what would the reason even be now, Seth? But if they are able to establish that they had no prior knowledge as to what can cause that kind of stuff, then you can hold them liable. But if they know and did not disclose it, because the whole idea is that it can affect the buyer's decision whether or not to buy the property. So when you withhold such information, you're not honest. And as far as the real estate here is concerned, you have to be honest. So if you know, you're liable. They can sue you, recoup their money, and even add something on top for the inconvenience. But if you have no knowledge of any sort, so depending on what the findings are, one can make some reasonable judgment in terms of the possibility of, there's no way you can know your house flooded. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. So again, the answer there is, if the seller has no prior knowledge of something like that, then they can be held responsible. But if they know, then they are responsible. So the investigation will determine whether or not they know. And then they'll make a judgment based on that. No question. That's good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.